Shui Min Hao and Huan Yin. Welcome to our session this week where we're going to be making a turtle. I was having a bit of fun with the picture before and I wrote membuat kora kora, which is making a turtle in Indonesian. Whoops, I wrote. So I wrote it again in Chinese characters. Zuo Ije Wu Gui. And then the turtle itself has decided it's saying 我是海龟. Now I better explain this. 我is making, one of, 乌龟. 乌龟 means turtle or tortoise and refers to a land tortoise. This is the turtle here saying 我是, I am, 海龟, which is a sea turtle. Now let me show you something. Before we begin what we're going to do, let's take a look at the two different types of turtles you can find. In Chinese, they're called Wu Gui and Hai Gui. And this refers to whether the turtle is a land turtle, like this one, or a sea turtle, like this one. In English, we now call a land turtle a tortoise, and we call anything that swims a turtle. It still gets confusing, but this is how they categorize them in Chinese. Wu Gui, Hai Gui. And you can tell from the characters too, you've still got this character Gui, which refers to turtle or tortoise. But Wu refers to a land tortoise. And this Wu there almost looks like the character for bird as well. So we know we're talking about an animal or a land-based animal here. And Hai, this refers to the sea. If you have heard of the city Shanghai, this is the second half of that character, Shanghai, the beginning of the sea. And Hai Gui is sea turtle. Now, onto our craft for today. Today we're going to be making a turtle and you're going to need the following things. You'll need a piece of paper. You will need a pair of scissors. You are going to need a thick texta to draw with or write with. You'll need some coloured pencils as well, something that you can colour in things with, maybe even a highlighter or something like that, that would be fine. And you also need some strips of coloured paper like what I've got here. Finally, you also need some glue as well, just to finish things off with. So we're going to get straight into this. Now, if you don't have any coloured paper, the next best thing you can do is just get a piece of ordinary paper, colour it in whatever colour you like, and then cut some strips out of it. I've cut so far 8 strips, so 4 of orange and 4 of green, but I don't think I'll need any more than that, but we will see. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get your piece of paper like this, fold it in half, and have it so that the folded edge is facing you, and the unfolded edge, the part that you open, is facing away from you. And we're going to start off by drawing a few shapes. And the reason why we've got it folded is because we're going to cut this out and make a symmetrical picture. So I'm going to start off by drawing the shell, and I'm going to do a half circle shape like this. And I'm just going to add a little bit on the end for the tail. So if you notice, I've left a bit of room up here for where I'm going to put the head. Then up here I'm going to draw the head, another half circle shape like that, coming back in. So far it looks like 2 little hills. I'm sort of rounding mine off to create what's going to be the neck of our Hai Gui here. So we have what's going to be the head, the body and the tail, or the shell and the tail. At this point you can make a decision whether you want your gui to become a Wu Gui or a Hai Gui. And if you want to make your turtle into a Wu Gui, I'll show you very quickly what you can do. To make your gui into a Wu Gui, that is a land turtle, what you need to do is draw your land turtle with either some feet or flippers. I'm going to give mine some great big rounded feet. I'm imagining my Gwei is like one of those great big Galapagos Island tortoises. If you've ever seen pictures of those, or you may have even been lucky enough to see one at the zoo. And I'm just going to draw some toes in my Gwei, just like that. So some little half circles like that. And lastly, before I do anything here, I need to draw some lines. Like this. Now these lines I'm going to start, sorry, I'll start that again. These lines I'm drawing, I start at the fold and I'm drawing them up towards the end of the shell, but they're not touching, and that is very important. Just one more down there, maybe just a little one. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing again for my other turtle. I've got 2 sheets of paper. I'm going to make a high Gwei and a wu Gwei. So for the wu Gwei, same thing again with the lines across its back. This is very important, as I said, and you'll find out why later. Not touching. I think I can fit one more just in there. And now for the flippers. I'm having some nice big flippers for my high Gwei down here. And another one. Now I just need to do his foot. Going out like this. And so like his back flipper there. Okay. Now the next step is to cut these out. I'm going to fast forward a little bit in a moment, but just to show you one thing that you need to do before I start fast forwarding. One thing you need to do when cutting out is to not just cut around the outside, but also cut along these lines up to where they finish. We're going to do something of these later. Like so. And then cut out the outside of your turtle. I'm just going to speed this up right now. Here we go, the moment of truth. So when you fold out your Gwei, it should look something like this, if you're doing a high Gwei, or, I'll just move this one for a moment, or if you're doing a wu Gwei, something like this. Now a few more things to do before we move on. To finish off the lines of your Gwei, you can colour in a little bit later. Just going to add the toes. And I'll do the same for my high Gwei in a moment. I don't need to go over the lines here that we've cut out, that's fine. Now I'm just going to do some eyes for my Gwei. There he is. And we're looking from the top down. I'll try and make him look kind of friendly. Well, I hope he's friendly, maybe. Actually, I think he looks a bit hungry. Now, one thing I want you to do with your Gwei is to write the word Gwei just on top of his head, or maybe just on top of his shell. Actually, no, there won't be room on his shell, just on top of his head. So I'm going to do a quick character. You do a line down, line across and down, looks a bit like a number 7. Line across and down, across, across, join this one down, across, and comes up like that. And that's the word for Gwei. And I'm just going to write that next to him in pinyin. We've only just got enough room there. Gwei. Now, if you think there's not enough room on your tortoise's head, use the arms, I mean, use not the arms, use the legs, or you might want to write it on the flipper here for your high Gwei. Now the coloured strips, what are we going to do with those? Let me show you. what we're doing with the strips is we're going to weave them. And I'm going to start with this little cut up here. And I've got a funny feeling that I've actually made this cut a little bit too thin. Indeed I have. Now you might find that when you're doing this, that sometimes you might do a cut that's a little bit too thin, not quite wide enough. So I'm just going to widen it just a little bit, but being very careful not to cut off my gwei's tail. That would be very disastrous at this point in time. So from here, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to finish this line here so we can see our gwei's tail just up there. Okay, now we are ready to start. I'm going to weave in and out some paper like so. So it goes in and out. And I'll just pull this through. So I hope you can see this well, what I'm doing here. Okay, and that weaves down like so. There's going to be a bit of excess paper, and this piece of paper, that goes under the last cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a bit of glue and glue that there, and glue that there so you can't see it. And I'm just going to trim this piece of paper here. And this is my starting piece of paper. I'm starting with the one right down the middle. I'll just put a bit of glue here. If I'm going too fast for you, everyone, you can always stop the YouTube clip and take it back a bit and then start following again. Okay, now my next piece of paper, I'm actually going to weave the other way. So I'm going to start up here and move my way down. I'm not going to glue this one just yet. Now it may not, whoops, I nearly weaved it over the wrong one. So you have to go over and under and over and under, like so. Will it fit in there? Oh, not quite. We'll leave it like that just for the moment, that's fine. And you notice I'm alternating my colours. You don't have to do that. So I've got red and green, I mean orange, then green, orange, then green. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing in terms of the colours, but the idea is to weave it like so. We'll do the same thing with another orange, like this. And just weave it again and again. Like so. You know what you might find? You might find that you might just need to cut just a little bit more along some of your cuts here, but not too far, because you don't want to go off the edge. If you go off the edge, you will have to start again with your turtle. Like so. There we go. So that, all I've done is I've made that cut just a little bit longer, so now I can weave in this last bit of paper like that. You can start seeing what I'm trying to make here. So this is like the patterns on his shell. Here we are. If I had a little bit more room, I don't think I do, I could probably weave in just one more. I think if I actually cut my strips a bit thinner, I could have done this. Now, what I need to do here is I need to give these a trim, like so, like so, and do the same thing on the other side here. Trim these so that you can't see them. Put those scraps of paper in the bin, and just these trims, I'm just going to neaten them up with some glue so they stay in place like that. Do the same on this side. A bit of glue here, and So there is my wugui ready for action. So from here I can just colour it in. I can put it on my wall. Now for those of you who want a challenge, I want you to write on the side of your gui as well. And I want you to write the following. Je, This is water. Je, water. And then, if we can fit it in, gui. Je, water. Gui. This is my tortoise. Genhao. And here's my hai gui. I've just finished this one off as well. So, and on the flipper I've written Je water hai gui, which is, this is my sea turtle. I've written the characters here for hai gui. Quickly pause this now if you've done a hai gui, and then you can copy this. And another thing I thought of is, once you've got your hai gui or your wugui, why not get another piece of coloured paper, glue it onto that, and then you've made yourself a fantastic poster. And you can, so I've got blue here, so I can have my hai gui swimming through the ocean. That would look really good. Okay, that's about all from me. I would love to sing out to my infants teachers back at Tukley Public School up near Newcastle, who taught me in 1980, 1981 and 1982, and they were wonderful people, and they taught me how to do great things like this, and I haven't forgotten the skills at all after all this time. Okay, that's all from me everybody. Zaijian, have a great week.